Hello, welcome to Map for a New Motherhood. I'm here today with Nicola Huelin.
Huelin?
Huelin, okay. I
Yeah,
should
it's
have
an
asked you that
unusual
before.
name.
Nicola Huelin is a multi-award winning business coach and mentor on a mission to empower 1 million mums or moms in business around the world. She's the author of The Invisible Revolution, which is listed in the Independent's 10 best business books written by women. She's an international speaker, founder of Mpower for Moms in Business and Mpower National Business Awards. Nicola has over 23 years of experience in combining business success with family life. She is trusted for her expertise, caring, and down-to-earth approach and holistic philosophy when it comes to business success. Nicola's work has been featured on international TV and radio, and she is a regular business columnist. Nicola has connected, coached, and mentored thousands of women who dream of building a successful business on their terms. Welcome, Nicola. I'm so happy to have you with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this amazing summit. What a fantastic initiative.
Thank you. Yeah. So, how many do you have children? How many children do you have?
Yeah. So between my partner, my partner's name's Graham. We've been together 6 years. The love of my life. It just took us a little while to find each other. So between us, we have 4 children. So we have between us 3 girls and 1 boy. All slightly older now, so between the ages of 18 and 26.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I thought they were going to be younger. You don't look old enough to have children that old.
Oh, thank you. That's kind. Yeah, my 2 biological children, my daughter she's going to turn 24 in May, and my son's about to turn 18, which he's very excited about.
Wow. Wow. So, how long have you been in this work of business coaching, and particularly with moms?
Full-time business coaching and mentoring, focusing on mums, 8 years. 8 coming up 9 years now. And in business, experiencing, that being on that personal quest to how do we balance a love of family with a passion for business.
Yeah.
Since my daughter was born. So yeah, nearly 24 years.
Okay. So I was going to ask, yeah, how you got into this work, and how your own process of becoming a mother influenced your path into this work.
Yeah, I got into business kind of straight away. I've always had this love of business since I went to university, as we call it here in the UK. And so I would have been 18, coming up 19, and went to uni, and so had this passion for business. And I remember so much so betting my university girlfriends. I bet them that I would never get married and never have kids, because I was just, so excited about having a career and so passionate about business. I couldn't imagine how that would be compatible.
Yeah.
And I bet them dinner at the Ritz. That was my bet, because as a poor student, that was like the most luxurious thing I could imagine back in those days. And needless to say, by the time I was 24, which is how old I was when I had my daughter, I lost that bet. I lost that bet to my girlfriend. I started my career, which I loved. And then, that desire to be a mother kicked in, and that was, stronger than this kind of career desire. So I had my daughter when I was 24, and that's really where that first experience of juggling the two really started back then. And I did the whole corporate, the career committed mum thing until my daughter was about 5. So after my
Okay.
daughter was born, I had 6 months maternity leave, and I went back to the corporate world. And
Uh-huh.
that was a really interesting chapter because I loved my job and I was really good at it. And we'd been, there were about 12 of us who were picked out to go on this special, it's called the Peak Performance Coaching Program for 6 months. And it was very much about fast tracking us in our careers. And I was already, I'd already progressed very quickly for such a young age, and I had this great career path mapped out. And I remember going on this 6-month coaching program. So my daughter was 5 at the time, and it was the first weekend of this 6 months, the first day, and the first story that the trainer told. And it was about a piece of ribbon, and he pulled out this piece of ribbon and he told this story about a piece of ribbon. And just that one story, I had this epiphany. And I just knew in that moment that if I was going to carry on a path where I could feel as successful on the inside as I appeared on the outside, I was going to have to change track. So
Wow.
I quit at that stage. I walked away from that corporate career.
Wow.
And lots of people call me crazy, and I thought I was crazy, and I know they did because they said it to my face. I'm like, you're absolutely nuts. You love your job, and you
Right.
studied so hard, and you've got all these opportunities. But I walked away, and that was when I took that terror-sighting leap of faith. Terror-sighting is my word for sort of half exciting, half terrifying
Okay. Yeah.
to become an entrepreneur. And that's when it all really kind of the beginning of that journey of how do we then combine building our own business with raising a family. That's when that chapter kicked in.
Yeah. Wow. So how did that look, that transition? How did you come into this new entrepreneurial world as a mom?
Well, it looked very different to what I thought it would look like at the beginning. Disaster is the word that springs to mind. It was at the point as well when I had my son. So during that transition, so I left the corporate world, I had my son, and then moved into entrepreneurship. So I had a young baby at the time. And I thought, leaving the corporate world, I was thinking, I love business. I've got lots of qualifications. I did postgrad stuff. I'm in business consultancy. I help turn businesses around. I'd specialized in marketing, so that marketing is what I studied a big part of, and it was the first part of my career. So I really thought I ticked a lot of the boxes.
Sure.
And I was quickly going to find out that there was still a lot to learn, and I learned those lessons the hard way. So the first family business that we went into, which on paper sounded idyllic, we were going to have more time together, and it was going to be this family business, and on paper it was a successful business. It made really good money, but it came at such a high personal cost. But by the end of year 2, I experienced a complete burnout, emotional, physical, mental, spiritual. I was just burnt out within 2 years. And for a long time after that, it was the one and only period of my life that I ever regretted, because my son was still so young. And those were 2 years that I could never get back. And I felt a lot of guilt. I think it took me a while to kind of figure out the label to put on it. But that my daughter had such a different first few
Experience.
years
Yeah.
compared to him, because this business was just all consuming, and it had become just a different time trap in a different way.
Right.
And it's only now, only more recently, that I look back and I can, connect the dots. And hindsight's a wonderful thing. I look back now and I see, actually, it was that experience that has led me to do the work I'm doing today in the way that I'm doing it. Because when I came out of that business, it was really the catalyst for this mission or this quest to go, it must be possible for a woman and a mother to build a successful business, whatever that looks like for her, without having to compromise family life and health and sanity in the process.
Yeah. Yeah. And so looking back, what and I guess you've already done this differently, right? But what would you have done differently in the way that you started your business after your daughter was born?
Well, and I'm just conscious. I'm looking at you because I really like eye contact. And then I'm sorry if whoever's watching the recording, I'm sorry I'm not making eye contact with you.
No, I know it's weird. It's like I'm looking at you too.
It is weird. So excuse me. I'd love to be making eye contact with you at the same time. It took me a while to figure out what the missing ingredients were. Because, as I say, on paper, everything should have been great, but it really wasn't. And looking back now, once I'd learned what the missing ingredients were, I could look back and go, oh yeah, okay. So one of the big obvious ingredients it was missing for it to be fulfilling and sustainable for me, is it wasn't my dream. I wasn't on purpose. It was me supporting my ex-husband. He's now my ex-husband. It was me supporting him and making his dream come true, which is absolutely fine. It's teamwork and
right.
But at the level that we were operating, it needed to be more sustaining at a soul level. It wasn't. I think it's only once you've worked in something that's your calling, that you've really tapped into your purpose and passion, that you can really understand what a difference it makes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so the work that you're doing, and one of the things actually that really drew me to you was exactly what you're speaking to, is this for moms that are more entrepreneurial or visionary, and they have a real deep sense of themselves and their purpose, then finding a way to make themselves visible and create a business that not only sustains them financially, but also gives them the capacity to have the kind of impact that they're wanting to have. That's what I saw you bringing forth in the way that you do the marketing. And I think that that's something that comes up a lot for women business owners in general, and moms specifically, is like not wanting to feel real salesy and just inauthentic. And so talk to us a little bit about that work, and because I'm sure we have some entrepreneurial moms and some visionary moms that are listening that would love to hear.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, authentic marketing. I'm glad you asked me. I could sit here and talk about authentic marketing for like weeks. So I'll try and do the summary
Brief
version.
Yeah.
But it's true. What you say is absolutely right. I see it within my own community, with all of my clients when they start working with me. Marketing and sales is such a common area of struggle, and it can end up either a black hole of time. They're putting all their time and energy and not getting the results back, or people don't know where to start. they just don't know where to start, how to do it. They're fantastic at what they do. They're so talented. They've got such a gift to bring to the world, but they haven't got a clue where to start in terms of how to get paying clients to make a living from their
Yeah.
gifts and talents. Or they just feel completely overwhelmed. It's just all too much. And there's lots of free information out there, lots of different pieces of information, and how do you make sense and fit them all together. And I say marketing and sales. I don't actually believe in the word sales. I don't consider selling a thing that we need to do. For me, it's all about when you get your authentic marketing foundations right and create that marketing platform. Over time, it's like building your dream house. When you get the right foundations in place, then all the rest comes up a lot quicker, and it's far more sustainable.
Yeah.
And it looks like the house that you planned. Everything fits together. And with authentic marketing, clients seek you out. You get those inbound inquiries, whether it's for paying clients or collaborations or just opportunities to show up and connect with others in the world and make a great living. And so sales just becomes kind of the natural conclusion of doing great marketing, authentic marketing that can feel in alignment with our values, not being, showing up, adding value, being of service. I think particularly when we're in professional services, and when we're if we resonate with labels like being a change maker or a light worker or a coach or a therapist or a healer or a trainer, we're really impacting lives and changing lives. We should be able to show up in the world and for marketing to happen in the same value-aligned, value-driven way as the actual work that we do.
Yes.
Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. We'll be very very heart-centered and have really strong values in our work that we do with our paying clients. So that there would be a complete disconnect if we were then showing up in a completely different way and being pushy and the whole hustle and grind and chasing the money. We want that. We want our values and our sense of purpose and our way of being to run through our business like a stick of rock. Do you have that in the States? Rock, like pink rock?
No, I don't think so.
So in the UK, especially at beach resorts, they still sell it everywhere. When I was a little girl, when you went to the beach, you always had a stick of rock, and it's like a long pink candy. Do you call it that?
Like maybe it's cotton candy. Is it kind of?
It's a hard, long, like a baton.
Okay.
And it's pink.
Okay.
But inside, and then when you bite it, there's a word written. And as you take each bite, the word runs all the way through, and it's normally the name of the beach that you've bought it from.
Oh, interesting.
So we in the UK, we say runs through something like a stick of rock. So it doesn't matter which part you look at.
Right.
It's like that golden thread.
Yeah, it's like it's infused into everything and every aspect.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think for moms who are entrepreneurial minded and have a strong sense of their purpose, some of what comes up when they think about marketing is also just about being visible and their own insecurities about stepping into visibility. So I'm wondering if some of your work addresses that obstacle in terms of marketing.
It does. I mean, the whole visibility piece is really important, and it's also really challenging a lot of the times. A big piece around mindset. the lack of confidence to show up, or it feeling terroriciting. You know, we're excited to at the idea of the business that we want to create and the difference we want to make and the impact we want to make in the world. We're also terrified quite often of how am I going to become visible? What am I going to say? What will people think? You know, there's the whole chimp
like, who
in
am
our
I?
head that, who am I to do this? Imposter syndrome is something we've been talking about in my community for, well, a lot this week. It's something a lot of the women going, same here.
Yeah.
And I think that's also where, when you work on getting your authentic marketing foundations in place, there are certain building blocks. And sometimes that fear of putting ourselves out there is massively diminished when we start to work on those authentic marketing building blocks, because we begin to get clear and understand and articulate our value and the difference that we make for our clients and how that translates in their world and their language and what that means to them. And it can help us begin to see that actually, you know, marketing is not about us. It's not about selling. It's about serving and problem solving. And when we begin to really understand what marketing is, it can alleviate a lot of those fears and concerns around becoming visible, because it's no longer about us showing up as some star of the show. Actually, it's about us turning up in order to bring value and to help people and to serve people and help them solve their biggest problems. And when we share in the right way with the messages and the value that people are really needing and searching for, and our messaging resonates, the people that naturally are interested in what we do and want to know more and are interested in working with us will gravitate towards us. And those that it doesn't resonate with will just, you know, they won't stop the scroll, or they're busy, and they'll just be keep searching for whatever it is they're looking for. So once we get to understand that and experience it, you know, you can transform somebody from hating the idea of marketing. And I've heard so many women say, oh, I hate marketing and sales, to actually fall in love with it. Because when you do marketing in the right way, where you can show up truly as yourself, authentically, know you're giving value with no attachment to outcome. The people who are meant to, you know, work with me, that I'm here to serve, will come. You can love the process just as much as what it is that you do at the very heart of your business as well.
Yeah, I can really see that. And I think it then becomes an avenue for part of this work, which is really at the heart of Motherfly, which is claiming our value, really understanding our value, and so that we're not always in sacrifice, in self-sacrifice, you know, just as moms and as humans. So having that avenue through the business to begin to have some confidence in the fact that, you know, you do have something that's uniquely yours, number one, and that's valuable to whatever, you know, the population is that you're serving.
Absolutely. There's so many. Every woman is talented, and I must say it doesn't matter which swim lane. I think of life as like one big swimming pool, and there are these different, you know, the swimming pool of motherhood, and you can put these different swim lanes. You know, when you have swimming lessons and that you put those kind of buoyancy lanes,
right?
And there, you know, there's the entrepreneurial swim lane, and there's the career committed swim lane, and there's the homemaker swim lane, and there's no right or wrong. And, you know, I've changed lanes over my lifetime and
Yeah.
done a bit here and done a bit here and done a bit here. And I say hats off to whichever swim lane a woman is in, because they're all equally rewarding and demanding in equal measures, but in different ways. And there's no right or wrong. And I think it's about finding the path and the swim lane that's right for you, and then really tuning into your value wherever that is. And, you know, I was a full-time homemaker for a couple of years that I had out. It's not my natural swim lane, because I love business and it's what I'm here to do. And I say hats off to the full-time homemakers, because that's like a tough gig.
Yeah.
And in talking about value, I think I spoke about this in my TED talk, which is the TEDx talk is all about how mums in business are changing the world. And I talk about how in Western society, we really undervalue a lot just the role of being a primary caregiver of motherhood. And there was some research done by Bidvine in about 2017, I think. And they did this study, and they said how if you took the value, the roles that a full-time homemaker does, and gave them a salary, if it was paid work, it came to £84,000. So you'd have to convert £84,000 a year.
Wow.
It's like amazing. Look at that value.
Yeah, incredible. Wow. Yeah, I love that. How have you navigated that balance? Or, you know, and I hate sometimes that word balance can be triggering in and of itself, because I don't think that necessarily when we say balance, where everything's even all the time, but just, you know, navigating that, you know, moving through these different lanes, like taking care of being in the mom role, the caretaker role, and then being in either the business or the career role. How have you in your own life kind of navigated these things in a way that feels sustainable or balanced, for lack of a better word?
It's a great question, isn't it? It's like the $1 million question, and one that I love, and I've been on that quest. Say what brings that balance. And I agree. Balance is a tricky word, and I use the word flow. That's become my word. And because you use the word movement, and flow is about movement, but it's also about a space from which we can, you know, we experience something, or experience life, or build our business, or enjoy motherhood from this magical space I call flow. And the best way to describe flow is, when I was at school, there's a sport called netball. Do you have that? Have you heard?
I don't think so.
So it's like basketball. It's a game we play in the UK for girls, and it's like basketball, but you're not allowed to run with the ball. You can't dribble. So when you get the ball, you have to stop and pass it. So it looks a bit like basketball. And when we're at school, so I played in the team, and I was goal attack. So I'm the person who you have two people who are allowed to put the ball in the hoop at the end, and I was one of those people. But most games, I never got to get the ball in the hoop because we were terrible. You know, we were all over the place. We were exhausted. We were never in the right place at the right time, always chasing after the ball, always one step behind, absolutely exhausted by the end of the match, and probably like, you know, 0 points by the end of the game. But now and again, there would be this really magical match where it was playing that match felt like being in the film The Matrix, you know, when everything slows down and he's like dodging the bullets and dodging the fists. And it was like that. It was like time slowed down. We were always in the right place at the right time. It felt, there was this sense of ease and effortlessness. And we were always one step ahead of the game, and we were so connected and in sync, and we just smashed it, so many goals. And that was the first time as a young girl playing netball that a lot of sports people talk about being in flow.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's the word that I use for this sense of how we integrate all these moving parts of our lives that are competing for our time and energy and attention. And the world is changing and evolving, and we're growing. There's so many moving parts, but there's this magical space in the sweet spot right at the center where it's just like that second netball match, and it's in flow. That's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah. It's like, I think we say being in the zone, but also in flow is something else also. And so what gives you access to that state of flow?
I love that you asked that. So there's 8 things. And I can tell you what, because flow is actually an acronym. So you've got FLOW, they stand for 4 parts. But
Okay.
before you can experience flow, you need your PIPs, the seeds of success. It's another clever, I love acronyms, as you can tell.
Yeah.
It just makes things easy to remember.
Right.
So you need PIPs, PIPS, to create flow, FLOW. And so each of those letters stand for one ingredient. And I can tell you what they are really quickly if you think
That
we've
would be
got
great.
time.
Yes, absolutely.
So the first P in PIPS is your purpose and passion. It comes back to what we were talking about right at the very beginning. What was missing from that first business?
Yeah.
Being really connected to your why. Simon Sinek, start with why. We talk about it a lot in the business world.
Yeah.
Understanding your purpose, and I call it paramount purpose. What's particularly when we're talking about women who have chosen that entrepreneurial track, what's your purpose above and beyond making money? What's the paramount purpose, more important than anything?
Right.
And that's where it's important when we're also not just founder of a business, but founder of a family, to remember that our purpose has a dual nature. We can't just split business out and put it in a box.
Yes.
It's so
It has to be integrated. Yeah.
Intertwined with motherhood and the role models that we are by default. They're watching us all the time. Is mum pursuing her dreams? What's mum doing? And
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I think there's very much this either or dynamic of, like, either I'm present with my kids and I'm this idealized sort of mother figure, or I'm doing my work and my passion. And that's just something that I know that we need to shift the narrative around, just that, when we are pursuing our dreams, we are modeling that for our children.
Absolutely.
And then
Goosebumps.
that's just inviting them into that in their own lives.
Absolutely. It's like, it doesn't need to be either or thinking. We can have and thinking, like the yin yang symbol,
Yes.
that beautiful blend. Yes, it's 2 different things, but they come together to form a beautiful whole. My kids are older now, so I have the benefit of, they're very articulate, and they can now tell me, that I am an amazing mum. And and my daughter will say, she's 20, she can be 24 in May, and she is following her dreams, and that's kind of taken her on this journey of exploration. And I've fully supported her in going down one route and then deciding to explore another route. And she is in such an amazing place now, and she says, Mum, it's thanks to you, that I am, I dare to follow my dreams, and I've had your support to do it. And to hear that from your children as they get older is really powerful.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm getting chills. And also, I think, because when you're in the process, there's so many doubts that come up around, like, oh my gosh, am I devoting too much time to my dreams, and in doing so, hurting my children. So to have her come
Yeah.
back and let you know how that has influenced her in such a positive way.
Yeah. So here's another story from my son, and I want to share this for any other mums in business out there that might have the same concerns. It's like, is this detrimental to my kids? Am I spending enough time with them? When we're in our business, we can feel bad that we're not spending time with our kids. When we're with our kids, we're worrying about, am I doing enough in my business? And that concern doesn't exist in this flow space,
Yeah.
and
Right.
even my son said to me, he's just about to turn 18, and about a year ago, he really shows a great interest in my business. We run national award. It's international awards. We've got an international category, International Business Awards for mums in business, the Mpower Awards every year.
Oh,
And we
wonderful.
didn't this year because of obviously COVID,
Yeah.
and it's a live event. But it was in its second year. My son comes to the awards, my daughter too. He really asks me questions about my business. He knows what I do. And anyway, a year ago, we were sitting there chatting. He went, anyway, Mum, I don't really get what the whole big deal is about mums, working in their business. I said, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, it doesn't make a difference, does it? Because you don't really do anything. You're always here. You're always at home. And I thought, that's exactly to him. It's like he doesn't see me working because I'm in that flow state. And when he
Uh-huh.
needs me, and when we're with our together time, I'm with him. And when it's the right time, I'm working in my business. And to him, it was almost like invisible. It's like, well, you're always at home and you don't really do very much. So it
Wow.
must be, quite in flow.
Yeah, right. Wow. Yeah, he sees it more as this just a continuum, like there's not like a separation necessarily.
Yeah. And like,
Yeah.
it's normal. It's like, what's the big
Yeah.
deal? Yeah.
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 Wow.
That's
So
great.
I know I distracted us from the pips. I think we
From the pips. Yeah. So that's P. I stands for inspired intentions. Now, a lot of people use the word vision. What's your vision? How do you want your business and lifestyle to be in the future? But for me, vision can be confused with something that we can see. It's
yeah.
vision, we can see it, but it's in our mind's eye, it's in our imagination. And so it's intentions, but they're inspired intentions that sometimes don't even come from our head, don't even make rational sense. They're from our heart, they're from our soul. What's that? Yeah, what's that kind of intention of how we want things to be that comes from somewhere bigger than just in our head. So
Yeah.
inspired intention, when we start to get really, really clear on what it is that we want to achieve, how we want our life to be, and how we want the journey to be as well, not just the end destination. So that's all around clarity of intention. The third P is personal values. So we touched on that, understanding what our core personal values are, so that everything we do in life, in our family life, and in our business, marketing included, is always in alignment with our values. Because we can come up with the best laid plans in the world, but if it's not aligned with our values, it's going to feel like pushing a boulder up a mountain.
Yeah.
And talking of mountains, so if you think of like the purpose, your purpose and your inspired intentions are a bit like the summit of that mountain.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Everest or Kilimanjaro. To stand at the
Right.
bottom and think about scaling that mountain feels terra-sighting.
Yes.
That's the summit. And if it's that journey up the mountain, we're not approaching it in a way that's in alignment with our values, it will feel like trying to push a boulder up there at the same time, and it can be challenging enough as it is some days. So that's P, personal values. And S is understanding our strengths. We all have natural strengths that often we don't even realize, because we find it so easy. We just assume oh, this is easy for everybody. We don't even know
Right.
where our own zones of genius and brilliance are. When we understand what our strengths are, then we can come up with a flow plan that, being in flow is about playing to our natural strengths. Because when we use our natural strengths, it's energizing, it's easy, it's effortless. It doesn't even seem like hard work, versus using what I call our learned behaviors. We're smart women, we're really capable. We can learn to do pretty much anything we set our minds to. But if it's a learned behavior, not a natural strength, it takes more energy. We can still do it,
Right.
but we might not achieve that level of effortless greatness than if we're tuning into our natural strengths.
Yeah.
So those are the pips that
Okay.
come first.
Yeah. So we definitely need to wrap it up, but I don't know if you have time if you can do the flow in a short amount of time.
Yeah, I can do it in like 30 seconds. So
okay, great.
when you've got your pips, the idea is to be in flow state. I'm a big planning geek, not writing a big fat business plan doorstep. Like there's a 1-page plan. It's about, when you're an entrepreneur, it's about having an agile planning methodology that's lightweight, and it's a tool, and it empowers you. It's a 1-page plan. Anyway, I won't go into there, but the flow helps you fill out the different sections of that 1-page plan. Because when you've got that clarity, where F is for focus, so it's creating a window on that journey up the mountain. It's like, we know which mountain it is, we've set the destination in the sat nav, let's narrow it down and create a smaller window on that journey, so we can just focus on going from where we are now to the next base camp. And that base camp might be 3 months away, 6 months. What's your 12-month base camp? So F is for focus, and that fills in one part of the plan. L is for leverage, which is all about strategy. So there's different areas that you need to get. So marketing strategy is one example that's universal. And different strategies will lead to different actions. So you've got to get clear on what strategy is right for you, your natural strengths, your business model, what you do, who your ideal clients are. Because the guy whose strategy is to walk by himself up the mountain is going to have a very different kind of action plan to the person who wants to go up with a group of people on donkeys,
Right.
versus the person who wants to work at the bottom, earn some money, and charter a helicopter. So different strategies are going to lead to completely different set of actions, which is where O comes in. That's outcomes. What are the outcomes I need to create step by step? What are the tasks and actions? And W stands for winning every day. And there's some tools that I teach for, okay, so I've got my strategic 12-month 1-page plan, but what are the tools that help me break that down into bite-sized baby steps,
Right.
so that I can win every day, just with this at the pace that's right for me, in flow, daily momentum, winning every day. That's what the flow stands for. And that is the ingredients and the process and the tools that, for me, create flow. And I run a flow challenge. I've run about 3 since lockdown. The last one, I had 100 ladies on it, and the feedback's just incredible. Just in 5 days, half an hour a day, to learn the essence of this stuff, it just transforms. It just gets them in that flow space.
Wow, amazing. That is so rich. I'm sure everyone's just taking that in. Well, how can people get in touch with you and your work?
Well, the easiest way is on the Mpower website. So it's M for mum, mpower.global.
Okay.
And everything's there on the website. There's resources, there's a podcast, bounce back podcast with everybody sharing their uplifting stories of how they've bounced back from tough times, challenges, and adversity. So we put that podcast together, especially because of lockdown, to give people hope and inspiration, and some really loads of words of wisdom. There's the Mpower community, and there's lots of free business resources on there too. So that would be the best starting point to come and check us out.
Great. Awesome. Well, that was going to be my next question, is if you had a gift for our audience, but it sounds like there's plenty of resources to choose from if they just go to mpower.global.
Definitely. And since you so kindly asked me about the marketing, the marketing questions, I'd love to offer that gift. I put together a marketing made easy checklist. So it's a short, easy to digest PDF that even if you're super, super busy, it will just take you like 15 minutes, just checklist format that covers the essential ingredients for authentic marketing foundations. So, marketing is something I know a lot of people struggle with. Even established businesses are not quite getting the results they want. So that's my gift. It's free. You can go to the website and download your copy and find out what those ingredients are. Tick off the ones you've got under your belt and maybe spot the ones that you might be missing or need to work on a bit more.
Great. Thank you so much. This has been really rich, and I appreciate your time and the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Well, likewise. I mean, Motherfly is amazing. What an amazing archetype. And I really hope that this whole summit, the new map for motherhood, I have no doubt it's going to touch a lot of hearts of mums to be, and recently new mums, and old mums like me too, who are still, forging the way, because and it's so powerful to bring women together. I think that's such an important part of us working together to shine a light on.
Absolutely.
Actually, there are lots of different ways to embrace and be in motherhood, and there's no right or wrong, and just exploring all these different ways. But at the heart of it, I love your message around and I actually wrote it down because I just loved it so much, where as a mother, the mother holds herself and her dreams and her vision as alongside her children's, putting her own needs alongside. It's not about coming first or second, but equally important.
Yeah.
Because I think it empowers our kids too when we do that.
It does. Absolutely. I see it in my children already, and they're still pretty young, and your daughter reflected that back to you. So absolutely. Oh, thank you again. And
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me.
you're very welcome.